Hi, Professor Innes here again, and for this week you're discussing empiricism, which is in the field of epistemology. You're asking the question about that mind you have and if it actually understands the external world, which it claims to understand. Now, as philosophers, we reckon this to be a serious problem because without knowledge, then we have problems in stating anything has any truth, and it's all just an opinion. It might as well be mysticism as far as we're concerned. So, we philosophers look at this and consider it to be a problem that we make these statements, and there might just be opinions. So, what is the problem? So, for empiricists, they're not as hopeful or optimistic as the rationalists, because the rationalists have this idea that through mathematics and physics they are going to in fact expose the external world as knowledge, and knowledge which the mind has contact with in a way which says that they know it. So in that sense, the rationalists, as with Descartes, are optimistic. Of course, Descartes' argument fell apart, and we ended up rejecting it, and it left us with that massive chasm between the mind and the body. An interesting chasm indeed, and it is part of our culture, as we understood with the Matrix as one example. But nonetheless, it was a failure. The empiricists have come along and they've said, right, okay, we're not going to have that optimistic view that we're going to bridge the mind and the physical world with certainty. All we're going to come up with is some form of probability that the thing we have in front of us is in fact there. So when you come to discuss the empiricist, you're going to approach that thing called the causal theory. The causal theory of knowledge, and we're going to say that the thing we have in front of us probably exists as it is perceived in the mind. So it is probably out there as I see it in my mind. So I'm not going to say it's certainly there, but it's probably there. And probability is, or the probable notion of existence by perception is going to be enough. That's all we need as far as the empiricist is concerned. And it's all enough because, for all intents and purposes, it works. It's the case that the monitor in front of me does project my image, or the camera does, to you, and you have this video you can watch to reassure you that you're on track with your learning within John Locke's understanding of epistemology. So I might as well say that what I'm perceiving, in fact, does exist. So I'm going to stick with that idea, says the empiricist. Yes, there's no certainty involved, but it's there. I'm happy with that probability. Certainty is not something you can arrive at through experience, so we're not going to, certainly not going to argue it is in fact achievable. So that's the basic position of the empiricist as far as the gaining of certain knowledge. We're not going to gain certain knowledge, we're going to gain probable knowledge. Right, so with that understood, we have it I reckon that John Locke is going to provide us with this theory of probability. Now, going to some more detail about Locke's argument, we have it understood that all knowledge is gained through experience. Right, so therefore we have a bit of reason to make sense of the external world, but only a bit. Our knowledge of the world out there is based upon simple ideas being developed into more complex ideas. Thereafterwards, through that gaining of ideas, we do have a sophisticated knowledge of the external world, but there's nothing new and unique. There's no sense of saying that the person who came up with Velcro invented Velcro. All they did was discover it. They discovered the seed burrs, which attach themselves to the clothes, and they had a knowledge of nylon. Put those two together, you get this thing called Velcro. He didn't invent Velcro, he merely came across it. It was more like a a discovery than an invention. So experience is everything, and therefore with experience we have limitations. Our knowledge of the world cannot be more than it is at the moment. It cannot be more than what is being created beforehand leading up to this present time. Therefore, we have got to expect this limitation. I think the textbook refers to it as somewhat narrow-minded, but if knowledge is based upon experience, then that's all we can expect. So therefore, we can't have the internal combustion engine before we have the steam engine. One must come before the other. So in that sense, yes, we have possibilities, but they're limited possibilities, and they're based upon our experience of the world. Other interesting considerations here are statements. With statements of knowledge, I don't know if I can come up with any certainty of knowledge with empiricism. So for example, if I was to say, as the textbook says, all crows are black, and I'm making a statement based upon experience. Now, considering I have not experienced all crows, therefore I cannot make the statement all crows are black. I can make the statement that all crows I have seen are black, but considering I have not seen all crows from the start of the time, and therefore all crows to the end of time, I cannot say all crows are black. So I have to moderate that statement with all the crows I have seen are black, or probably all crows are black. I can't say all crows are black. Likewise, with any statement of that type, which is based upon experience, one cannot make that knowledge claim. So you can't even make the claim that tomorrow the sun will rise. That's simple, you haven't experienced it yet. You can't use mathematics and physics to say it's going to rise tomorrow. Yes, you can describe through mathematics and physics how the sun has risen hitherto every single morning, but you cannot base that and say that is an explanation of a certainty that that sun will rise tomorrow morning. So, you know, in that sense, it's all experience, and experience is limiting. It limits our knowledge claims. But as an empiricist, we're quite happy with this because it's a truthful understanding of knowledge and its limitations and our limited view of knowledge. So really, we're quite happy with this as far as truth is concerned. Knowledge is limited, and therefore my knowledge claims are limited. So next time somebody asks you if you know something, you can honestly say, I do not know. I have no clue about this. If you say, okay, do you think Boise State's going to win the Fiesta Bowl ever again? You can say, I do not know. You can't possibly for 1 minute say, yes, they are going to win it again. Yes, they've won it twice hitherto. Yeah, and you could even put forward an argument that was based upon luck and all that type of stuff, and there's no real predictability of truth based upon them winning the Fiesta Bowl victory. So in that sense, one cannot make these predictions. You can guess that things happen based upon previous incidents, possibly with that knowledge, but there's no certainty involved in that knowledge. It's purely probable knowledge, if you can call it knowledge at all. So we're going to be somewhat limited within empiricism, but the empiricist is quite happy. It's ridded itself of the rationalistic over-expectation of gaining certain knowledge, and therefore brought us down to earth somewhat, and said what we can know. And what we can know is what's already happened. And from that we can say, yes, I know that to be the case, that this has happened. But I can't say that's a generalization to all things of that type, such as with all crows are black. I cannot say that the rising sun is going to be the same tomorrow morning, namely it's going to rise. So we've got limitations, but we're happy with that. It makes sense, and therefore all my knowledge claims are going to be based upon that reasoning. Okay, hopefully this added towards your understanding of empiricism and rationalism, and as philosophers you understand that we are taking these theories and in no way saying that one theory is better than the other. Even at this point I can't say that Locke is better than Descartes, or Descartes is better than Locke. I can say I prefer Descartes than Locke because he used mathematics, and I like mathematics. I could say that, because it wouldn't be true, but that would be just a preference. And again, when we make these value judgments about who's doing the better job in epistemology, it is a value judgment. It is that you feel happier with one than the other. And being happier with one than the other doesn't say that one is true and the other one is not true. So be careful about these judgments. And in philosophy, you're not supposed to make them because you have to back them up. And if you back them up, you have to prove them, which is not going to happen. So don't make those statements. And when you finish this course, you'll be able to think to yourself, okay, now I hear these value judgments all the time, and that's all they are. They're not proof of something happening. They're not proof that one is better than the other. They're just value judgments. They're preferences, attitudes of mind, and nothing more than that. So be careful when making your judgments and saying one is better than the other, such as Descartes is better than Locke or vice versa, because it is just a preference and nothing more. Okay, good. So I'm going to stop right there. Let me know if you need anything, and we will, for the next module after this one, go into analytical types of reasoning. They are interesting, and you'll find them interesting once you've gone through Descartes and Locke. But we'll leave that discussion to a later time. So speak to you online in your journal. See you later.